Hey there. So let's take a look at the Capstone project. What are the requirements for the 2021 school year? This is the biggest project you're going to do, folks. This is meant to really show your academic prowess, the thing that makes you ready to graduate high school. Only a high school graduate could do something of this magnitude. This is not something that seventh graders could do. This is something you can do. And so let's take a look at what's going to be required. It is a 40 plus hour project. And that's why we're starting it in pretty much December, because you're going to have the rest of the year to work on that. 40 hours isn't that long when you think about the rest of the year that's available. Now, it's 40 hours outside of class. You don't really get to count the class time as work time on this. Remote learners, you don't get to use that either. It's time outside of the class hours, is what I mean. Now, the project proposal is the first thing you're going to do. And you're going to pick a project and you're going to have to do a live presentation of what you plan to do for your capstone project. And it lists the specific research questions. What problem are you trying to solve? What specific activities are you going to do? I want to deal with pollution. Okay, are you going to deal with a local environmental group? Are you going to create a campaign on this? What are you going to do? And then what is your product going to be? We've had people whose product was a giving tree and a movement for particular hygiene projects for women in shelters. Another one was a specific internship and a campaign and a meeting with the mayor around local homelessness and hunger. So these are significant issues. I want you to pick global slash local issues and what you're going to produce. And then how is this going to stretch you as a person? Oh, it's hard isn't enough. It's going to stretch me because I've never presented anything this long before, and that's going to make me stretch. Or I'm not comfortable meeting with people, but I think this is important enough that I'll put myself out there to meet people. Something that's very specific about you that's going to stretch you as a person, as a learner. And it's got to be very specific. And finally, look at this right here. It says, you're going to present this to a committee of faculty members who must approve your project. That's really important to realize because I don't decide whether it moves forward. I'll tell you what will pass the committee, but the committee passes you, not me. So it's going to be third party. Who's in the committee? I will pick it. Actually, there'll be other people. It'll be about volunteers and who I can get scheduled. What if you're learning remotely? That means you're going to have to present it in a live meet with other faculty members in a live meet. That's a part of what's going to take to get out of high school. So settle in. This is what it's going to take. You're going to journal documentation. You're going to have to keep a log and produce a log of how all 40 hours are spent. This is a major, major project. So I need to have 40 hours documented. Now, the internship, it's either going to be an interview with two community members. This is a major, you got to write up the whole interview and you got to tell me what you learned, and we got to make sure that you're asking questions that are viable. What's it like? What's your favorite? No, that's not what we mean. We mean sitting down with a local council person or a community alderperson or something like that, a select person, to say, how are we going to address this local problem? Or with someone in the police or the fire department, if you're going to talk about police brutality, you're going to need to sit down with the chief of police and certainly chief of security for Hartford Public Schools. Those are the types of people you're going to have to interview. If you don't do that, you can also do an internship. I had a lot of people who did internships who worked in homeless shelters, who worked in soup kitchens, who did these community service type of things that really made a difference. We'll need to talk about that. Then you're going to have to write a research paper. You're going to have to actually do an exhaustive research paper, 5 pages or more, on, and you can include your interview with that, or your mentorship work, or your internship work with that. But you're going to have to actually talk about the research around it. If you're doing research on environmental causes, we need to have the hard science about why this is not just a rant about why it's bad. If you're doing something on the Black Lives Matter movement and systemic racism, we're going to need to see activism. We're going to need to see internship and community organizing around that. And then we're going to need to see a paper that really talks about the causes and really presents the arguments of the Black Lives Matter movement so that we can get a sense of what they're about, and then stats and science and data. And there's plenty of all of that. So it's something you can get. And the paper length, we may have to change it and make it longer depending on the topic you pick, okay? Now, your final product is going to be a tangible item that you create. And we're going to have to talk about that because there's 28 of you in this class. There will probably be 28 products that will all look a little different. So I can't tell you what it is, but it's not something we're going to plan in March. It's something we're going to have a conversation with about next week. This is how quickly it starts to be talked about in December, so you can have it ready in May, because you will be doing these in May, because you will not walk in June unless you pass this project. So understand that this is a requirement to graduate. You have to pass the proposal, then you have to do the project, then you have to create the final product, and then finally, you have to get back in front of a committee just like you did the first time, probably be different teachers who have to sit down with a rubric and they have to pass your project. They have to say, yes, this person has completed all of the steps and this capstone is approved. If you do not have an approved capstone, you will not walk. You'll be back in summer school doing it again. So please make sure you get on this right away. My goal, there's 28 of you in this class. My goal is 28 of you graduate, 28 of you get great grades. That's my goal. I want all of you to do well. If you do the work and you stay with it, you will be fine. If you slack, if you put this in the back burner, if you say, I'll get to it tomorrow, you will run into trouble. I've already seen it. If you postpone this, if you put this off, you will not get it done. 100% of the kids who did not graduate last year put their capstone off. 100% of them did. I observed it. I was at a different high school last year, so I was involved in the global capstones. We had kids who graduated and kids who didn't. All the kids who did not graduate because in part because they missed their capstone. So don't be a statistic. Get your capstone done. How are your presentations going to work? What about if I'm still on quarantine? Your presentations are going to be over Google Meet, and we'll get your Google Meet teachers in there. What if we're completely locked up and I can't do an internship? We'll work out the internship digitally, or we'll do something in the digital context, or we'll work out interviews digitally. We will make this happen. There are ways around the quarantine to get this done. Just because it isn't going to look like it's looked in years past, it will be something that you absolutely can do. I believe in you. I'm proud of you. Know this. Obviously, I put this in Ed Puzzles, so I want you to have a sense of this. And you can fire off any questions you have. I'm sure you're going to have plenty. Thanks so much for watching.